Alright, welcome back, guys. This is the speed build Kleber rant. Someone asked for it, so here I am. We're in Microsoft Paint. You're gonna have to excuse my drawing abilities because I'm not a very good artist. So you're about to see some pretty tragic art. But we are here on speed with the speed build Kleber rant. Now, the reason it's called the rant is because this isn't really a guide. This is kind of just, well, it kind of is a guide, but like, it basically is just how a speed build Kleber is gonna work. It worked before the update, worked after this update, it works better after this update. So what is speed build Kleber? Well, speed build Kleber is basically where you just run speed Kleber, where you run the third slot in speed instead of concealment, which is the conventional destroyer build. Now, I will say one thing. When I say speed build Kleber, you pretty much have to commit to the speed build Kleber. You, first of all, should be running the speed elite bonus, so plus 5% max speed, plus 10% acceleration. That's like the most optimal way you have to build the speed. You have to stack the speed with the Kleber, because the Kleber is the fastest destroyer in the game. So you have to do that. Second of all, when you are playing Kleber, please do not, especially after this update, never touch leg mod. There will be some leg mod enjoyers, there always are, but just don't touch the leg mod. Before the update, you could maybe make an argument for leg mod because it gave you torch reverse. After this update, it's a pretty useless leg mod. It already almost was, and it even is now. You're better off just running propulsion because Kleber actually has some of the best propulsion in the game when it comes to its relative to how fast you are reaching per knot speed. So, you think of stuff like Daring, Vampire 2. Very good accelerating destroyers. Kleber doesn't always get the same level of love and acceleration because, well, you look at the number and it's a much bigger number than Daring or Vampire. The difference is that, unlike the Vampire or the Daring, the Kleber has to reach a much higher maximum speed. So the acceleration would just naturally take longer. The number will naturally be larger because you're taking longer to reach the speed. But if we have to compare it to the Daring or the Vampire reaching 35 knots, the Kleber would not be that far off in reaching 35 knots in the same amount of time, because Kleber has really good acceleration. So you want to run acceleration mod. It is the most optimal build in every destroyer in the game. No questions asked. There's yet to be a good second slot leg mod for a destroyer that is worthwhile. I mean, you can maybe say Holland's, but like even then, it's kind of, you're using the leg mod because it gives you concealment, not because the rest of the stuff is beneficial. So, and even then, I would just say that propulsion Holland is pretty much not that far off the experience. So, moving on to why am I on Encounter? One of the games I'm going to show is going to be on Encounter. The next one will be in Aurora. These are speed build Klebers, and not the most optimal maps for Kleber. Obviously, if you're in Cage, it's a bit of an inner story, but I'm not, I'll show Cage. I don't have a game. Well, no, I don't have a game from Cage, but I'll show you how to play Cage. I do have two games I have one game from Encounter and one game from Aurora, which is why I'm showing these two maps off first. So these are, when you play speed build Kleber, everyone knows that speed build Kleber is all about not stopping, right? Well, that's technically not wrong. You do necessarily are not going to stop a lot in speed build Kleber. You do still want to stop a lot of the time, a decent amount of the time, when you are caught out in bad positions. So, let's say in this spawn of the map, and the game I'll show, I'll be spawning on the southern side of the map, so this side of the map. So this is my base, this is the enemy base, the orange and this. I'm going to show off the Kleber, where I spawn right here. So this is the Kleber. So I spawn on this side, I'm facing this way, I'm on this flank. Now, when you are playing this map, I don't even know what color to use. We'll use red. When you're playing on this map, one thing to know, if it is a one destroyer matchmaking, the DDs will both spawn at their bases. So those that are destroyer here, they would spawn right here. They would spawn at their base. That is usually how it works with one DD If there is more than one destroyer, there might be a destroyer here, and might be a destroyer here. Or, if there's a lot of DDs in the queue, there might be another destroyer here. And, in the case of this game, if there's also a cruiser, and there's only like a few battleships, if there's only one battleship especially, there usually will be a battleship right here, I'm gonna use a square or a rectangle as a battleship. And for a cruiser, I'll use an oval or a circle. Then there will be a cruiser here, just one battleship. So the cruiser you spawn here, and then if it's a CV, it spawns to the base. So this is the typical spawns for one battleship matchmaking in a encounter. I believe there's one battleship only in this game that I'm showing off. So there will be 2 destroyers pushing this side with the cruiser. Now, if there's no CV, this is the lighter side. There usually be 2 other ships here if there's no CV. So this will be usually the side that holds. This will be the side that usually pushes, but with less ships. So, when I am in speed build Kleber, there are multiple ways you can play this. Now, when you play speed build Kleber, obviously you're sacrificing the concealment mod. Now, when you sacrifice concealment mod, that means that Kleber, which already has pretty bad conceal, now has horrid concealment, well over 7 kilometers, even with a camouflage. So, what this means is that you will pretty much guaranteed be outspotted pretty much the entire game by everything. However, one thing to note, Kleber is going at such a fast speed, even without speed boost, such a fast speed, that you have the ability to just, the moment you get spotted, the enemy destroyer will not be far away from you because you're just going to be going so fast into their face. So if this destroyer decides to push up this direction, and I am pushing up here, I'm usually, okay, so there's 2 destroyers here. What tends to happen is that there would tend to be a destroyer that usually pushes here, and 2 things happens here. Either these destroyers, well, 2 things, yeah. Either destroyer will push, and he would just go on this side, and he would just chill on this rock. He would try to push the rock. If it's a shimmer player, they probably will, or a gearing player, they usually will try to push this rock. And what ends up happening is that, well, they might not push the rock, but they also might push here. Like, you kind of just sit here, and kind of just wait for something to happen, because they know that there's going to be something else pushing this way. And they're on the lighter side, so they don't have any battleship tank for them. So you know something's going to push. And there's something wide, a destroyer wide. They will either push and just go this way directly to the enemy, or what they will end up having to do is that they will end up having to turn out because the enemy is wide, so they do not want to get caught lacking by the ship wide. So, what do you do in Speedball Kleber? Well, when I'm playing Speedball Kleber, there's a far better Kleber player than me, Steve. He can probably explain this even better than me. But when I am playing Speed Build Kleber, what I am trying to do is I'm trying to push wide. Now, I know everyone says, why are you flanking? You're not gonna be useful for your team. Well, 1, word encounter. So being useful for the team getting the cap, not really something that can happen in this map very easily. 2, if this enemy destroyer is gonna be pushing and turning this way, or if this destroyer is gonna be turning this way, I now have full broadside on these 2 destroyers. If I can catch these 2 destroyers by themselves, I pretty much just nuke them in Kleber. Kleber has incredible guns. With rapid reload, you demolish everything. Even against some of the bigger gunboats, unless you're facing Bazan, you probably can trade with the majority of destroyers in this game with rapid reload going, which is kind of crazy, but that's just Kleber. So I want to go wide so I can attack these guys. I want to attack the destroyer that is going to be broadside to me now. He's gonna be broadside to me. I'm gonna be this way. And because I am running Speedboat Kleber, I'm gonna reach this position so fast. I'll probably be here by the time this happens. If I'm flanking wide enough. And now once I kill this guy's dead because my other teammates are here. Now this guy is by himself. And now that this guy is by himself, I can kill him. Now this is in a perfect scenario, assuming you find the destroyers by themselves, which is highly unlikely. What will usually happen is when the cruiser comes in. The cruiser will then push in. And so if I get rid of all this, when the cruiser is pushing in, the cruiser will usually be somewhere around here. Now this isn't, I'm not saying this is the optimal place for the cruiser to be, but this is usually where the cruiser will be. The cruiser will usually push in with the destroyers. So he will be up here, moving in with the with the destroyers, and now you face a problem in Kleber. Well, not really a problem, but you'll see what I mean. Now you have to face this cruiser. Well, you don't have to. You can stay stealth, but you're Speedboat Kleber, so I don't know where you're going to be staying stealth from. So now you have to deal with this cruiser. So if you're turning out wide, it's a little wider than before, but if you're turning out wide, you probably have to deal with this cruiser while being broadside. And in the game I'm going to show, this is going to be in Austin. Now, Austin is a pretty deadly ship to destroyers, generally speaking. There's not really any question about that. However, Kleber is a different kind of destroyer. Kleber is the kind of destroyer that hunts other cruisers because it likes to. When you're running speedboat Kleber, you were gonna be going 50. You're going 58 knots. If you have speed camo, 60 knots, something along those lines. Austin, unless he is at point blank range, is going to struggle to hit you. Even with the improved shell velocity compared to other American cruisers, he is going to struggle to hit you. He will need some god tier level of aiming to hit you at range, and I don't think anyone in this game can hit a Kleber beyond like 9 kilometers with speed build. So what ends up happening is that you're not gonna be stealth anymore because you have your speed build, right? You have to be when you're playing Kleber, you have to be confident in your speed, and you cannot just turn the ship around and just kind of forget about the Austin. No, you are going to fight the Austin. You are going to fight the Austin. The Austin will most likely turn out. The Austin will most likely turn out in this direction because he doesn't want to turn this way. Because if he turns this way, he faces your teammates. So now he has to face you. So now you have to pretty much put yourself in a position where you can also start turning out this way, so that you don't get, you're in a hiding position now against the Austin. Now the Austin is going to struggle to hit you. You are going to be blasting it with your AP, and as long as you don't just make any horrendous movements where you get hit by the Austin, or unless the Austin player is god tier, this is a little closer than an actualization. The Austin will be a little farther back, and you'll be a little farther here. But basically, the speed build is allowing you to get away with the most shenanigans known to mankind, where you just kind of like fight an Austin, and there's not much the Austin can really do back to you. The same rule applies to if it's a Colbert, if it's Smolensk. Smolensk is a little different because that's smoke, but if you're facing these super CLs, you can usually take them on because you just have the ability to just dodge the shells. They can't really do much about you. And you kind of just chill there, and you can kind of just start ripping them apart with your AP. And so, as long as you've done this right with your speed, the Austin can't do anything. And the Austin's going to be crippled. He's probably going to be at Halsey levels at this point. And now you just, turn away, use your speed, and you just wait for rapid reload again. And you repeat the process. Now, in this game, this is not happening. Because that is another ideal scenario. It is ideal for the Austin to push you and have no one there. In the game, you will see that the Shimakaze is also just here. So, if the the cruiser is pushing, and the DD here decides that he does not want to push with the cruiser, he wants to go the wide way. If he decides to go wide, this is a Shimakaze in the game that I'm gonna show. If he decides to go wide, you pretty much have no option but to hope that you bother the Austin beforehand, and then you have to fight the Shima. And that's exactly what happens in this game. The Austin, he's pushing in, I push him away, he turns away. I do what I just described. This guy is chilling over here. In the game, I basically start shooting. I start shooting this guy. I push wide. I start shooting this guy. Austin appears. I start shooting the Austin. I distract Austin. I start turning away. Austin starts turning away himself because he's now crippled and he didn't hit me with anything. So I start turning back. And then I realize it's Shimakaze. Now, luckily in the game, the Shimakaze was an absolute ding-dong. This guy has no clue what he was doing in Shimakaze. Which is pretty typical, but if you catch a Shimakaze like this, and the Austin's already running away, you don't really have to worry about the Austin, because you're still speed build Kleber. And if he doesn't have rapid reload after that, well, he's pretty much not going to be doing anything to you. So what I did is I fight the Shima. And speed build Kleber is, again, so fast that you push into the Shima so fast, there's not much time for the Shima to react. And because the ship goes so fast, I was actually shocked to find the Shimakaze here. So what ends up happening is that I end up turning out, expecting to turn out to then start, go back to deal with these guys. And I find Shima, and I'm like, damn, there's a Shimakaze in my face. So what does he do? He shoots torps. He shoots his, I don't even know what to describe. Oh, I use the torps. I'll use blue. That's actually a horrible color. I'll just use green. So he shoots his torps out. And because I am speed build Kleber, even though, actually this is pretty, not as good as the turn. I'm turning out this way. And then he sends torps. However, because I'm speed build Kleber, I'm turning out this way. Now, under normal circumstances in a destroyer, I probably would die here. If I don't die, I'm crippled by torps because the Shimakaze does not have slow torps. 72 with actually HC. 72 not torps. I'm turning directly into them basically. And turning out does not save me here easily. In any other destroyer, I probably die. When you're running speed build Kleber, what did I say? You have to trust the speed. Do not slow down. This actually got myself killed before not trusting the speed. You have to trust the speed. Don't slow down. Don't make any crazy movements that would make no sense. In this particular situation, I just start turning out. Now, again, like I said, in any other destroyer, I probably couldn't get away with this. But because Kleber is so fast with speed build, you can pretty much dodge any torps in the game. As long as they're not at point blank. And as long as they're not like a non-small on torps. I can pretty much just turn out, and these torps, they just go by. They just go by. No damage done. Because the ship is going 50 knots, so I'm pretty much just going to outrun the torps. Well, I don't outrun the torps directly. I outrun the torps spread fast enough that I make my way out of harm's way. And I just escape. Obviously not this angle, but this DD's already gone by now. But, that is how I escape the torps. And that is what you have to do in speed build Kleber. You have to trust the speed. Speed is going to be your best friend. That is the whole reason you're running the build. And that is the whole reason that this build is good. Is because you can trust the speed. Now, there are some caveats to this. When you are playing speed build Kleber, you do have to at least have some self-awareness in Kleber. I would not recommend running speed build Kleber immediately on Kleber. It is not a very easy thing to get away with as a newer player to Kleber. Kleber is already not an easy destroyer to play. Before this update, it was harder, but now it's a little easier, but still is a harder destroyer to play. Mainly because it's a big gumbo destroyer. It doesn't rely on its torps at range. It doesn't have long range torps. Is a more AP focused of a destroyer. Burst focused with its rapid reloads. So you have to really understand how to play. I would highly recommend you just play normal Kleber for a decent amount of time before you go into the speed build Kleber mode. Once you know how to play Kleber a little bit with the concealment, and you know how to make the ship work with the guns, you get used to the torps, the burst style, then you can go into speed build Kleber, and then you can really, you know, learn and truly play the maximized Kleber. Now, there are still some more benefits to conceal that, you know, you lose when you lose conceal. One is that obviously you become a lot easier for bigger gumbo destroyers to catch alone. And B, it also makes you a much easier target for focus fire. Not that you can't deal with the focus fire or run away from it, but it does make focus fire a little easier since you can obviously not go concealed as easily. But again, the speed kind of counteracts these problems because the speed allows you to just dodge everything. CVs, especially torps, it's kind of a rest in peace. They can't really hit you with, I mean, unless they're dropping FDR or Manfred torp drops on you, most CVs can't hit you with torps because the torp spread is just not wide enough. And cruisers and battleships may as well not try to even hit you at range, let alone destroyers. So yeah, this is Encounter. I will have a game later to show this. So yeah, this is Encounter. I'm gonna move on to Aurora. Alright, and this is going to be Aurora. I'm not gonna do this one as long as the Encounter. I think the Encounter went to 18 minutes, I think, something like that. This is just gonna kind of expand on what I was just talking about. So, in Aurora, in Domination specifically, what you basically want to do. This is not an ideal. I'm gonna point this out right now. This is not an ideal spawn for Kleber, not at all. This is a more ideal spawn. This is even literally anywhere in the map besides here. Actually, this and this are not ideal spawns because Kleber can also spawn here. Ideally, you want to be on the open side, so C or A southern side. The reason being that speed build Kleber likes to have space. Islands are nice, but not when they're this compressed next to the cap, because it means that it's also kind of hard for an escape route. For example, there's going to be, normally, not in this game, but not in the game I played in Aurora, but normally, there is a destroyer that pushes here. He will usually push up into A and contest A. This is typically how it works, not all the time, Just kind of a given. He will also typically have backup, whether that be a cruiser, whether that be a battleship. Really, really depends. They will usually try to contest this A cap. This is also not how the spawns look. This is just generalization. They would generally try to contest the A cap. Now, in speed build Kleber, you like space, right? You like the kite. You like to push the destroyer early. Yet the problem with the spawn is that there's an island here. Very, very big, obvious island. Now, this is, again, islands are not a bad thing. They just kind of annoy speed build Kleber in the sense that it kind of blocks your pathway out. So you have two options here. You either push this, get to this side of the rock, and kind of just wait for these guys. And you kind of hope that your team supports you. Or you just go full on crazy speed mode gameplay, and you basically just push, you turn out, and you wipe out what's over here. The destroyer, the cruiser, or you just gotta turn out completely. Now, this is obviously risky for very obvious reasons in Kleber, because of the cruisers here is a Venezia, Hindenburg, how even Napoli. If these are like any good DD kill, well, maybe not Venezia, but if these are any good DD killing cruisers, you're kind of done for if you get broadside and these guys are paying attention, because you're just gonna take like 10k. Now, if the cruiser does not push, or the cruiser is, buying time for no reason, you can get away with this turn, because the DD will probably be the one in the A cap anyways. So you can get away with some pretty nasty stuff. Now, what you could also do in Kleber is that you could also just kind of sit. You could also just kind of sit here and kind of just like be in a kind of position waiting for something to happen. Wait for the DD to push, wait for the cruiser to push, wait for the battleship to push, and you just kind of start running away the moment they start shooting at you. And you just kind of buy your time, waiting for your teammates to get here, or waiting for the other flank to win. Because you don't have conceal, this is one of the bigger downsides in this map specifically, on this side, or it would be the same case on this side. But the situation's a little better on this side if you spawn here. On this side is that you're just not going to have an escape route. If there wasn't this island here, you'd be able to pretty much push the cap and then just go wide on the cap. You could go wide here, but this is a pretty big island, so it takes some time to get around. Even as people clear, it's going to take you like 15 seconds to get around this island maybe. So it's a pretty valuable time lost, and by the time you get here, your team might already be dead. Or they might be crippled already, to the point where they can't help you. So, yeah. In the Aurora game, I don't know if I'll show the Aurora game, but in the game, I played in Aurora, that is. The cruisers and the battleship and the destroyer did not push A cap. They actually did the complete opposite, to be honest. What they ended up doing was they still spawned there, but they ended up pushing B. So they have the destroyer here, pushing B. You have the cruiser right behind them, and the battleship somewhere right here. Once again, the squares. The battleship, this whole road in this square looks like a trapezoid almost. A circle, oval, blob, and a triangle. Excuse my artwork because I'm not an artist. So you have this, and when I was in people Kleber playing this game, I was like pushing here, waiting for something to happen. Well, actually, what I was really doing is I was pushing all the way up to the cap. I was taking the risky route. I should probably use yellow. I was taking the risky route of pushing in because I'm in people Kleber. I trust the speed to save me. Now, once again, you cannot always trust this. You can trust the speed, just not in the way you think. I know I just talked about how you have to trust the speed. You can trust the speed, but your positioning still does matter. You can't just YOLO into the middle of B cap or something and get away with it. I mean, you probably could if they're dumb enough, but that's still pretty risky. So I full sent it. My hopes was that I was so fast, I either take the cap or I killed the destroyer early and I just run from the cruiser. None of them did that. So what I ended up doing is I take the cap, I start going wide, and I just start kind of like messing with these guys. So this destroyer is in B. I start demolishing this destroyer a little bit. Then this cruiser Marseille pops up, so I start destroying the Marseille for a little bit. And then there's an Iowa chilling back here. So I just started destroying the Iowa. Now, when the flank is this open, this wide open left, you just have so much space to roam, right? You can either go back to A, go help these guys, go help your team with these guys. You can either push wide, get a flank on these guys, get a crossfire going, easy damage, easy money. Or you can do the alternative. And because this was a CV game, there is a CV. I don't even know what to use CV. I'm just going to use this. This is the CV. With the line. Because the CV was just kind of chilling here, I was like, wait, I can just go for the CV. So the CV decides to start going this way. That's actually not the correct arrow. He decides to start going in this direction. And because it's going in this direction, I'm like, well, if I just push this. These guys started ignoring me because they tried to hit me, but they weren't going to hit me. The speed build Kleber. I trust the speed to save me. So these guys weren't going to hit me anytime soon. Unless, and especially not something like Iowa with its shell speed. So, I pretty much started pushing the CV. Well, I was still doing damage to these guys, but I was pushing the moving the ship towards the CV. Now, what the CV does is definitely not the move I would recommend. I'm not even a CV player, and I know this is the wrong move. He starts turning around this way. I'm pretty sure he put himself in a permanent turn based off the fact that he was not paying attention to what he was doing. So he was just this way now, even though he spawned the other way around. So because I'm in speedboat Kleber, I can reach him so fast. I go this way. I send torps this direction. He eats them. I go the other way. I go this way. Now, he eats torps the other way. And that's a dead CV. And that's an easy kill, right? Easy frag. Nothing really to worry about after that. And then after this, one of the beauties of Kleber is that the ship is able to relocate so fast. So, these guys are long gone by now. They are long gone. And there's a battleship all the way up here. I noticed the battleship. He's just kind of chilling up here. The Marseille is still roaming around here. The destroyers, I'm pretty sure, died. So now, after I kill the CV, I am here in the Kleber. And speed build Kleber is in the name. Speed build. The ship is going incredible speeds at this point with Speed Boost 4 going. And I can abuse this because relocating them in the map, especially a map like Aurora, when you relocate in Kleber, it is incredibly easy to relocate. It's something I didn't mention with Encounter. It is incredibly easy to relocate across the map. Because you're going such a fast speed that you pretty much can return to the battle at any point in time in the game, as long as you're not playing in like one of the bigger maps, like, and you're in the corner of like, fault line. With Speedboat Kleber, you can pretty much return yourself to the game. And in a matter of no time, I was basically back here at C, taking C. And this battleship was by himself, because this guy dies, Marseille dies. So I just rushed this battleship, and I got a free kill. And that is pretty much the Speedboat Kleber experience, where you pretty much relocate, and there is not much anybody can do. They can't hit you, they can't really do damage to you properly unless they're at close range, with a good DPM, or good alpha. So, yeah, this is pretty much the Speedboat Kleber experience right here. That's about as simple as I can explain it. Again, Steve is a way better Kleber player than me, and he can explain it better than me, so. But next I'm going to go to a short briefing on Cage Center Control. Alright, and here we are on Cage. Now, I'm not going to go too long into this, so I don't even have a game from Cage for Kleber. Well, okay, I had the game I posted, but that wasn't Speedboat Kleber. But, moving on. Quick side note with Cage, when you're on Cage, any of the 4 spawns for Kleber, here, all the spawns are good. None of them are bad. You're on the flanks, you sit on the flanks, you push this way. You can push this way, you can push this way, you can push this way, you can push, this into this. Really not a bad spawn for Kleber here on this map. One thing to note with Speedboat Kleber is that when you're on these flanks, you do have to be careful for the potential CV focus, because you are very, very much so by yourself. It is kind of annoying that the CV would drop you. Just kind of the way it works. But if you're on these flanks, just note that the CV might be here. And PSA, when you are running speed build Kleber or any fast destroyer, when I tell you to flank, that does not mean you go here. If you start going spawning here and you start going this way, you're doing it wrong already. You're doing it wrong. You want to push. Well, yeah, the spawn here won't be this wide, but you want to push into position where you will push here. You go here. It's probably an enemy destroyer pushing up here. Probably DD pushing in here. You kill the destroyer, get this guy out. Keep pushing. If there's a cruiser, you take on the cruiser. If you have to go behind the island, so be it. If you have to run completely, so be it. So that's kind of just how Cage works. So when you're playing Cage, go wide. The cap will not be your best friend. You can push into the cap later to win, whenever there's nothing on the flanks left. But just know that if you push the cap as people Kleber, you're probably gonna die. Mainly because there will probably be a cruiser just chilling around here. A cruiser chilling around here, waiting for the opportunity to get. If it backs up, if it backs up to here, it's gonna get cross shots into here. If it pushes this way, it's gonna get cross shots into here. If you try to push this rock, which I see so many times people trying to push this rock precisely, you're probably gonna die there as well, because there's probably gonna be an enemy destroyer just chilling on the rock as well, and he's probably just gonna force you to stay there, and now you're just gonna get cross shot by everybody. If there's a DD out wide chilling out here, now you're getting cross shot from this DD. Basically, don't stay on this rock. Pretty much never try to put yourself in a position to get on this rock. This is a very, very deadly rock, and it leads to a lot of bad situations. I have played enough destroyer to know that if you push this rock, you're asking to get either killed, or you're going to be relying on your teammates to win, and at that point, relying on your teammates to win all the time is a dangerous, dangerous gamble. So I would not recommend at all to push this rock. Really would not. If you're running, it doesn't matter what faster DD you're in, or any destroyer, honestly, just don't push this rock. This is a bad, bad rock. I know there's times when you want to push the cap, which this is a good side, this is a good side, this is a good side for the cap. Don't push this rock. This is the single worst place to be in almost any center control epicenter map. The only map that might be worse to be in the central position is probably Chain, but that's more because Chain is just not a very well designed map. So yeah, just don't push this rock. Just a PSA. So yeah, I'm gonna get to the one game in. I won't do the Aurora game, that would take too long. I'll just do the one game in Counter so you can see what I'm talking about. Alright, and here we are with the Kleber game. I'm only going to show Counter because I'm pretty sure this video is going to be lengthy already. And if I showed Aurora, this will just take too long. And I'm going to be saying a lot of the same things anyways. So, remember the scenario I was talking about earlier in Counter? Way earlier in the video. Way earlier in the video. This is that scenario. 4 DDMM, only 1 battleship, so the battleship spawns at the base. There's going to be 2 destroyers spawning up top left, like I described, and the other 2 are going to be under the side. So, that is the spawns of this game. As you can see, I'm already pushing wide. I'm going 50 knots with preheating plus alone. This is just normal speed build. I thought this Holland was actually going to run into me. Luckily, he's a smart Holland, and he did not run into me. Very nice Holland player. And you can see I'm already preparing myself to face the destroyer that's going to be in front of me, because I know that there will be a destroyer that will try to push near or around that front rock in front of me, and I know there's going to be a time where I have to face him. And I know I will probably have to face one of the cruisers eventually, so I'm just preparing myself for that as well. I'm spotted, unsurprisingly, in Speedboat Kleber. There's a destroyer exactly where I described it on the island. And now I'm going to just start opening up, and this Austin appears, and now I have to focus on this Austin. I start opening up with this Austin, and I'm just going, 40 knots, not 40 knots, 40 seconds with a speed boost, almost 60 knots, and this Austin is never gonna hit me at this range with this aim. Oh my, this poor guy. Yeah, no, you're not gonna do much against Speedboat Kleber and Austin. Yeah, he needs to have really good lead at this range to even hit the speed. I'm not even dodging. I was just going full speed. So now I'm pushing in. This is where the Shimakaze actually comes into play. I noticed on the minimap Shimakaze. I'm like, what? I see Shimakaze. This guy is... I have no clue what this guy's doing. I thought I was dead here for a second because I was turning out. I thought he was going to shoot torps. He does shoot torps. He just kind of sits there and eats torps first. But yeah, Austin's trying to hit me. He's not going to hit me. And then near the Destroyer, probably would have died here. Well, maybe some faster Destroyers. Fast Destroyers also would have survived. But this guy's just... Yeah, no, the torps... That just... The Kleber is a little too fast to be getting hit by torps like that. He smokes up. That's futile at this point. Austin is still trying to hit me, which is also a futile thing to do because, I mean, you can see how bad he's missing. This guy has no torp, so he's just not non-factor at this point. He's a free kill. He dies, and now I am facing the Austin at this point. Now, Austin has a pretty similar rapid reload to me if he's running Master Reloader. So, he's going to have rapid reload suited at this point, is what I'm thinking. So, at this point, I don't want to push the Austin. If you want to beat cruisers like this, like Austin and Kleber, you have to be in a kiting position, like I said earlier, because you cannot push the Austin, because you're just giving the Austin less time to have to aim, and it's just easier to kill you. I'm hopping through rapid reload at this point, and I'm just demolishing this guy rapid reload. It's just, the AP damage is crazy. He's at Halsey level 100%, so I'm just running, hoping for my speed boost, pop the speed boost. I mean, I take 10k at most, maybe. And yeah, now he's just not hitting me at all. And yeah, now he just dies. Rapid reload's done. I had the map border because this is a horrendous map. And yeah, he's just gone now. Rest in peace to Austin. He had a great game. Don't ever do this in Austin. Don't ever bother chasing a Kleber. Especially when you think it has speed build like this. Don't ever bother chasing the Kleber. GG's to this Austin. He is just, yeah, nice torse, man. But those are never gonna hit me as well. Nice screenshot. I see the Shimakaze, and this is also what I mean by the repositioning I mentioned in Aurora. I'm so fast, I can just, even though I'm at the back of the map, I can just kind of reposition so quickly with my speed. And I still have a speed boost after this as well, so I still have plenty of time to reposition myself back into this game. So, there's also the Shimakaze that pushed down the rock. That everyone looks pushing down that rock, I'm not gonna lie. This guy is getting hit by Holland Torps, so now he's just on perma flood. Excuse my bad aim in Kleber. This is my few games. Well, I think this is my first game in Kleber actually of the day. No, this was my second game. So my aim's a bit off, but that's besides the point. I thought this guy would surely die. Unfortunately, my aim is not good enough, so he just survives. Not for long. Well, yeah, for the rest of the game, he actually does survive, but he's just kind of crippled now. So yeah, now I just gotta, you know, I see the Yodo, I'm like, okay, there's a Yodo. I can make it back there in time. There's also a Z42 back there. So, 48 knots without speed boost. This is normal Kleber speed build shenanigans. If you had speed camo, you're reaching probably 50 knots base. So, I'm just kind of roaming about. I'm ready to start farming this Yodo because Kleber AP is nutty against cruisers, especially CLs. And yeah, this is just typical Kleber gameplay. I say. Break a gun. Speed build, and we just, at this point, this game's won already, because our cruiser master getting him back to Shimakaze probably can't kill both of them. And now I'm just gonna kill this Yodo. Do you think the torps will hit me? Yeah, nah, bro, I'm good. Not even running rudder mod. Just good old speed boost forward with the turning. And yeah, we just dodged the torps. This guy actually lost a gun permanently, I'm pretty sure. Or he either has them desynced, so they're not going to be shooting all at the same time. He's shooting HE, so yeah. And yeah, he just dies. So, yeah, that's the Kleber rant. It is a rant for a reason, because I just kind of rant. And, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And I will see you next time.